Kevin's just been kind of walking around.
I just get skipped.
Kevin's just been walking around the place.
I was just waiting for a what?
I can hear everything everybody is saying, though. God didn't give me these big-ass ears for nothing.
All right, go ahead, Kevin.
Top player, Kawhi Leonard. Mm-hmm. Team on the rise because they've declined over the last couple of years. San Antonio Spurs.
Ooh. Okay.
And the team on the decline, of course, is the Mavericks. Flipping
No,
Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's trying to bitch enough at Donald Trump to where everybody takes attention off of his basketball team.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask you a question, Kevin?
What?
If the Spurs had their best season ever in their franchise and was only overshadowed because of the Golden State record-breaking record, how are they a team on the rise?
Because they're still on the decline because you got to think, arguably the best player in their team history has just left.
If anything, they're at a plateau after last season.
But all they can do is go. All they can do is go up. But I'm basing it on everybody's writing them off as they usually does, and everybody's writing them off more so now with Duncan leaving. So I'm thinking now you got the stuff with Aldridge and everything coming in. So now everybody's going to be playing them down a little bit to where I think they'll be able to rise up and they'll still be the best team in that conference. In that division.
All they do is replace Duncan with Pau Gasol.
I'm just saying. Yeah, just let me have my opinion.
It's a lateral move to an extent.
Just let me have my opinion.
You can have it.
All right, Northwest Division. I'll start with you, Nick. I know you've been gushing about a certain team in that division, so go ahead and start us off with the 3 bullet points.
The team that has been tickling my fancy, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Ooh.
This is the best young team in the league. I mean, their roster is just, they're going to be a nuisance to anybody that they play. It doesn't matter if they're playing the best or the worst teams in the league. These guys are going to be good. And I see them making a good playoff push, to be honest with you. Yeah, they're young, they're inexperienced. But then this goes to my next topic with the best coach. As a Bulls fan, former coach Tom Thibodeau. The Bulls were so idiotic with letting this guy go just because they butted heads on opinions. Tom Thibodeau, in my mind, aside from Popovich, is the best basketball mind in the league. This guy just, his mentality of defense first and your shots are going to come later. It doesn't matter if he's got the best offensive guy on his team. He's going to turn that subpar defensive player and make him a solid defensive player. Like I said, Thibodeau is my guy. He will be through and through. He won Rookie Coach of the Year as a rookie coach with the Bulls. And now that they put him as president of basketball operations, watch the Timberwolves in this next decade become a powerhouse team in the Western Conference. And definitely in the Northwest Division, I can see that in the near future being the best team for years running in that division. But now with my top player, Mr. Russell Westbrook. This guy, as we talk, if he can get to that triple-double assassin that we all know him as, it's game over. This guy, he's the deal in that division.
Okay.
The team on the decline is the Seattle Supersonics.
I don't have that in my notes.
All right. You want to say any questions?
What? I did say what that time.
Yeah, you did. You said
the Northwest Division.
Yeah, team on.
I agree. The Timberwolves are just loaded with young, athletic people that fit this kind of basketball. They have that type of team. They have that type of team, and now they got a good coach to be able to coach that type of team. Russell definitely is now. He's definitely the top player in that league. And the Seattle Supersonics, I wish them all the best because I don't know what happened to him. I haven't even heard from him for a few years. It's crazy.
There you go.
Didn't Gary Payton used to play for those guys?
Great, yes, the club.
So did Nate McMillan and Detlef Shrimp.
He had the.
Detlef.
So did Sean Flippin' Kemp. That's where he had 8 of his children at.
Unfortunately, 200 pounds later.
Seattle. He had 8 of his children. Yeah, y'all were excited when y'all got Sean Kemp.
Yeah,
and
he played for the Magic, and he was huge.
Then when he came to the Magic, he was Sean kept on eating.
Yeah, he definitely went down to the steakhouse over there on Orange.
What are you talking about? He bought the steakhouse.
He went to Orlando and ate up all the places, man. You know,
and he was at Golden Corral.
Raymond Felto-ish, yeah. So kind of like Raymond Felto.
No, kind of like Big Baby Dave.
Okay, fair enough. There you go, man.
Glenn Davis owned them Golden Corrals.
All right, Mike.
I think he has stock in them next to Disney.
Go ahead, Mike. What you got?
So
you gonna eat your cornbread?
I've got winning that actual division. I've got Minnesota winning that division.
Ooh,
but only if they can. I think if they're like a year ahead of what they should be, then they can win it. If they're not and they still need to develop a little bit, I've got to give it to Portland. Okay, and with Portland, I mean, I've got to go with my top player, Damian Lillard.
That's
okay. So Damian Lillard, to me, actually should have won MVP last year.
Really?
I'll say it.
You know what? I can't argue that.
I can't argue at all.
Because he do good. It's just the unanimous decision. I don't agree with the unanimous decision of Steph Curry, but I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, yeah. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Damian Lillard does what he does, A, without the turnovers like Russell Westbrook.
Yep.
And B, he does it with 4 players on his team that came off the bench to become starters.
Without Aldridge, too. That is
without Aldridge, without Batum, and without Wesley Matthews. All 3 of those guys contributed to the success the year before, and they still were the number 4 seed in the whole conference. Wow. So I've got to give it to Damian Lillard.
Okay, you swayed me.
My team on the rise, if it's not Minnesota, because depending on how they actually perform, I love Thibodeau. I think that was a great move, and I'm actually glad they made it because I think he's going to make that team phenomenal. But that's my team overall on the rise should they not win the division. But I like Utah a lot.
Yep.
I like Utah a lot because of the moves they've made. I love Gobert. Gobert is going to be a monster down low. And, George Hill kind of complimenting it. Joe Johnson came to the Heat last year and actually performed quite well. So I don't see him not performing well in this division as well.
I mean, it's Joe Johnson.
My best coach, if it's not going to be Thibodeau, then it's Terry Stotts. I like Terry Stotts and what he's done with the Portland Trailblazers, and I think that they can continue their success.
Some of these guys need to be like coaches in Boston and stuff. Who's your coach? Get stats. Stats.
I actually agree with you, Mike. My team on the rise is George Hill, an underrated move. He's a defensive mind guard.
He's your team? Yeah. How does George Hill do a whole team on it?
No, I said Utah.
The Utes.
Yeah, the Utes. Can run the offense, and he hit from the 3-point line. He shot 40%, so he was solid. So like Mike mentioned, they got Rudy Gobert, but they got Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors, who's still there, Dante Exum, who is a developing point guard that they got that can, George Hill can mentor him. So I like how they can go and be the team on the rise there. Russell Westbrook, like I said, we talked about him earlier. I don't need to really spend about him, but I like the Damian Lillard pick because he's right there. So, and best coach Tom Thibodeau. They got this young Wolf team that he can mold into a defensive team. Me personally, I think they're overhyped right now, but they got a lot of talent, and they still have to fight over OKC, Utah, and Portland. That I think right now is better. But honestly, they have a shot to make this team 4 of these teams in the division can make the playoffs. I'm not going to mention the Nuggets because the Nuggets are still rebuilding. So,
did you hear the Nuggets actually have a jersey called White Power?
Really? No comment.
But, I went. What? Huh?
But
whatever.
The center battle in this division alone is going to be fun to watch. You got Towns, you have Jokic, you have Rudy Gobert. I mean, there's a lot of Steven Adams. There's a lot of good center play in this division. So it's going to be a physical division to kind of watch. So I'm glad I got NBA League Pass. So the times I do stay up and watch some games in the West, that I'm going to keep my eye on the Northwest Division. So let's move to the Eastern Conference. We'll save Mike's division last, the champs. We got next division on here too. We'll save the Central for last. But
we have everyone's division.
Right.
That's right. So let's start off with the Atlantic Division.
No one likes Western Conference on.
There we go.
Or on the eastern side of the wherever.
Yeah, the Atlantic Division. I'm gonna go and start off. I think every team is on the rise because the Atlantic Division, besides the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors, was horrible. But honestly, if I was to choose a team, I'm going with the 76ers. You got Joel, as he want to call himself, the Process Embiid season debut, which Kevin kind of the things he's been doing pretty well. He highlighted him to be the Rookie of the Year. The three-man big rotation of Noel, Okafor, and Embiid. Now, they trade one of these biggest for some guard play. That'd be great. Ben Simmons, as a couple of the guys on the show mentioned earlier, he's got a broken foot. He'll return in January.
I broke my
so
foot.
They have a good young front line they can work with and everything like that. So I'm intrigued to see how that works into play like that. So, of course, this team won a low. They're just obviously the team on the rise. They're going to get more wins than what they have. So I know Sam, he can get a lot of, credit for playing like he did. But, I mean, you got to give the guy some credit. He got some of these pieces now. Now they're starting to play and be healthy. And this team is not, they got some young talent. They just now starting to play. And then also, I didn't mention Dario Saric, the Croatian prospect that is pretty solid. So, 76ers is a pretty fun team now. I think that's going to be on the rise, and they still be the worst team in the NBA. But it's just their growth there. You see the youth, and you want to see it. Honestly, I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets going to be the worst team in the NBA. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're going to be the worst team in the NBA. Top player in this division is going to be Carmelo. I know he has some beef going back and forth with the whole Slam magazine, ranking him a little bit low like that. But, he's got a little bit of help with him now.
The only beef Carmelo has on his belly. Sorry.
Yeah, he's got Derrick Rose. He's got, Noah. And then we all talk about Kristaps Porzingis, his development, and he's looked pretty good in the preseason. I know we done saw him expand his game and how he's going to work with these new players. But, Carmelo is one of those just guys who can just flat out score and like that. So, my top rookie, it's going to be Ben Simmons, and the Jaylen Brown kid from the Celtics is a close second. So, Kevin, you want to give a shot at this division?
Yeah, you said it.
Okay. I don't want to cut it. All right, Mike, your thoughts on the Atlantic Division?
Once one person says stuff, I'm done. If I don't get to go first, I'm last. I'm like Ricky Bobby.
So
we'll let you go first for Southeast Division. How about
I'm like Ricky Bobby.
Coming out the Atlantic Division, I've got Toronto. It's either going to be Toronto or Boston, which the rest of my selections here for these topics here are going to be based on those two teams.
Okay.
I'll throw this on here, and then my top player is going to be DeMar DeRozan.
Ooh.
I think DeMar DeRozan really came into a little bit of his own last year, and let's see if he can continue it. If Toronto is not a fluke and they're just as good this year as they were last year with a healthy Valanciunas, that'll be good for that whole team, and I think they can definitely compete for number 2. But if they don't, it'll be Boston taking number 2. Yeah. I have both of those teams over Indiana, even though Indiana beefed up a little bit.
Don't let Corey hear
that. My player on the rise is Isaiah Thomas.
Ooh, okay.
I loved him out here in Phoenix. I thought he was pretty good. And then he goes to Boston, and he's got a team now. A young team with Al Horford. I think being out there is going to help. Jaylen Brown is going to be my rookie coming out of that division. I think he's going to be phenomenal with that team, and I think Brad Stevens is going to be a great coach for that team. I'm really excited to see that team play just as much as the Knicks. Knicks, you have a lot of age that has a lot of talent, but let's see what Boston can do with that young talent. Let's see how they can develop.
Oh yeah, Nick.
All right. My team on the rise is Boston Celtics for sure. I mean, this young team has potential to be a great team this season. Adding Al Horford was a huge move for them, and the fact that we were even talking about that the DeMarcus Cousins Al Horford trade could possibly be happening, but as of now, I like that. I definitely like Brad Stevens. He's one of the best young coaches that we've probably ever seen. I mean, you saw what he did with Butler. I mean, that just speaks for itself.
And he looks like he's 6. He legit looks like a 6-year-old.
Hey, AJ is on his side. Father Time can't mess with that guy.
Crazy, man.
So my top player, though, it was hard for me to say this. I mean, I'm going with Melo, but DeMar DeRozan was definitely another guy. Like, those are my top two. If we had to pick between two, it's definitely those guys. Mike put it perfectly with DeMar. But, I mean, it's hard to take this away from Melo being the top player in that division. He's, that guy that can go out there at any given time and score 30 or 40. I mean, that one game against the Bulls where he just took off and won it for them. I mean, of course, I was angry.